I'm Nandini Kumar and I have a PhD in atmospheric chemistry. I've been teaching at the TERI University in Delhi for about 10 years now. Um, Teaching is and can be a very, very rewarding profession simply because there is the opportunity to expose a large number of new minds to the subject that you're studying or that you're teaching. It's not very, very tough either physically, although there are people who would argue with this because you've got to stand in a class for maybe 2 hours at a stretch or an hour at a stretch. And if you want the class to be active, to be lively, and to participate and to keep the students awake, you've got to make sure that you're telling them things in a way that is active yourself. You can't afford to be physically inert and expect the class to be active. So during a day, typically, I think the kind of classes or the kind of schedule you have will vary a great deal from university to university. But I would imagine typically 4 to 5 classes a day. I don't think anyone can manage probably more than that. So there is a great deal of variation. And the variation also comes about depending on your seniority in the profession. So when you start out, you may have to take more classes than you do as you progress. I don't think there are really any negatives about a teaching profession. There is the fact that you don't earn the amount of money that you might earn in a private sector job with a company. But as far as intellectual challenge goes, there's nothing that's more challenging than this kind of profession. And teaching and research generally go hand in hand. So you are expected in a teaching profession to also write projects, apply to agencies for grants, money, and carry out some research side by side. You would have to write papers, send them to journals for publication, and that's how you get known in your peer group. You get recognized, you get people from other universities, other countries writing to you, talking to you about your work, wanting to collaborate with you, and that is a very exciting part of the whole profession. It's something that today is becoming very important because there's a lot of interest from foreign universities to collaborate with Indians, partly because so much is changing in countries like India and China. So there's a lot of scope over there. I would suppose that people who are not looking for a racy life would be those who are suited to academics. But I do know of people who have worked in companies and done traditional jobs but want to come back into teaching. So it might be fairly typical for a student to do a graduation degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and choose to take up a bit of teaching then, or then in India, when because you need a PhD degree to get into any kind of university teaching, it makes sense to do your PhD after your master's and then write the exams, the NET, CSIR, etc., so that you qualify for a lecturer's post somewhere in the country. I don't think anybody starts out at school level thinking that they're going to be a university teacher. But, well, of course, some people do. But so there's plenty of time for you to make up your mind. You can make up your mind during your bachelor's or during your master's. If you see that you're not inclined at all to go out and work with somebody, you can do that. You can probably enter academics. And so you don't, in typical situations, you don't have a boss working about you. You're pretty free to develop courses as you think are appropriate in whatever program you're teaching and teach the students the way you want to, and then develop a research program that's in parallel with that. So you do need you need the ability to think independently and you must have an analytical mind for this. You should be able to reason, analyze, ask the question why at every point. Don't take anything for granted. So if you've got that level of curiosity and interest, I think you would do quite well in academics. Just be ready for not earning too much money. Not too much, it's enough to get by, you'll be happy, but you're not going to be buying jet planes.